My girlfriend said I was too available and boring, so I brought her lunch at work and found her flirting with her ex. I set her box of stuff by the door and blocked her on everything before she got home. Alright. This one's still pretty raw. Went down just 2 months back. 2 months. That's nothing. I'm only now ready to talk about it, and honestly, the way things have played out since then is better than anything I could have written myself. My ex told me I was too available, said it killed the attraction. Turns out the guy she actually wanted was her ex-boyfriend, a dude who was so unavailable because he was busy cheating on her with someone else. When I walked in and figured out what was going on, I didn't raise my voice. I didn't make a scene. I just smiled, walked out, and showed her exactly what unavailable actually looks like. I'm Austin, 28, and my days run like clockwork. Up and at the gym by 5 in the morning, at my desk by 7, home by 6 in the evening, weekends reserved for my hobbies and the people I care about. I'm not flashy, but I'm dependable. I always thought that was worth something. Spoiler, turns out it wasn't. The place I live in is a 2-bedroom condo in the Pearl District. I bought it 3 years ago when the market dipped just enough to make it work. Nothing extravagant, about 1,100 square feet, but it's mine. I saved up the down payment myself, took on the mortgage myself, even handled a chunk of the renovation work with my own hands. Replaced the kitchen counters, repainted every single room, put in new fixtures in both bathrooms. My dad spent years teaching me the basics of carpentry and plumbing, and those skills ended up saving me a serious amount of money. My ex-girlfriend Brittany, 26 years old, worked in graphic design at a marketing agency downtown. We crossed paths through mutual friends at a backyard barbecue about 18 months ago. She had this bright, bubbly energy, and she was always chasing the perfect Instagram shot, the kind of person who could point a camera at a random coffee shop and make it look like a fashion editorial. Around 3,000 followers, a set of vintage-style filters she was really attached to, and a real passion for building her brand. She took all of it seriously. We clicked instantly. She was genuinely impressed that I had my life together at 28, the condo, the retirement account, the stability. Looking back, that should have told me everything. She wasn't drawn to me. She was drawn to the package. The engineer with the 401k and the mortgage. The actual human being underneath all that? That became background noise pretty fast. The first year, though, was genuinely good. We did what couples do, weekend brunches at this spot on 23rd that made legendary pancakes, afternoon hikes through Forest Park, nights on the couch eating Thai takeout and watching whatever she picked on Netflix. She stayed at my place most weekends since her apartment was cramped and her roommate was a lot to deal with, loud music, constant mess, random people always coming through. I helped her out financially when her freelance work dried up, and I covered most of our dates because I made more. I never once kept a running tab because I thought we were in this together, building something real. Her place was in Southeast Portland, one of those older buildings with walls so thin you could hear everything, and parking that was always a nightmare. She split a 2-bedroom with a girl named Jess who worked at a coffee roastery and went through boyfriends like seasons. Brittany complained about it constantly, the noise, the disorder, never being able to have guests over without scheduling it around Jess. My place became our default pretty quickly. Around the 1-year mark, the dynamic started to shift. Brittany started dropping comments about how I was always around, how she could set a watch by me. I thought she was kidding at first. "You're like a golden retriever," she said one night while we were on the couch watching some romantic comedy she'd picked out. Always excited to see me, always showing up, always ready to do whatever. I laughed it off. Is that supposed to be a problem? It's just, guys who are too easy to get aren't that attractive. There's no mystery, no chase. I remember thinking that was genuinely the most ridiculous thing I'd ever heard. We're grown adults in a committed relationship, not teenagers playing games. But I let it go. Figured she was just venting after a rough week. Then the comments got sharper and more frequent. "Tyler doesn't respond to texts right away. It's so annoying, but there's something kind of exciting about it." Tyler was a coworker of hers, some artsy guy with a man bun, vintage band shirts, and a whole identity built around having a record collection. She kept bringing him up, always contrasting how mysterious and untethered he seemed compared to me. "He's constantly working on something," she'd say. "Photography, music, some art thing. He's never just sitting around." Meanwhile, I was renovating my bathroom, volunteering on weekends with a youth robotics team, and training for a half marathon. None of that registered as interesting, apparently. "Maybe you should be less available," she suggested one evening while I was in the middle of making us dinner from scratch, chopped vegetables, homemade sauce, the whole deal. Like, "Don't pick up every time I call. Give me something to wonder about." "I pick up because I actually want to talk to you," I said, genuinely baffled. Why would I pretend otherwise? She sighed like I was completely missing the point. It's not pretending, Austin. It's just how attraction works. Guys who come too easily just aren't as interesting to chase. Austin, yeah, that's me. And apparently being a good boyfriend was my biggest flaw. What made it even stranger was this rabbit hole she'd fallen into online, pick-up artist content, all this stuff about high-value men and maintaining frame. She'd actually send me articles. One of them was titled something like Why Women Are Attracted to Unavailable Men, and it was the most self-serving pseudoscience dressed up as psychology I'd ever seen. The basic argument was that women are biologically wired to chase men who pull away, because it activates their need to win someone over. Absolute garbage. You're too invested, she said after I showed up at her place with takeout from her favorite Thai restaurant because she'd mentioned having a terrible day. It's a bit smothering. Being thoughtful was smothering. Noted. My best friend Dylan saw through the whole thing from the moment I told him. We've known each other since college. He works as a financial advisor, he doesn't sugarcoat anything, and he has zero interest in relationship drama. When I told him about the two available stuff, he just shook his head. We were shooting hoops at the park near my place, warm Sunday afternoon, a few kids watching from the sideline. Dude, what she's basically telling you is she wants to chase around guys who treat her like an afterthought, he said. That's not a problem you can fix. That's her problem. She says guys who are unavailable are more attractive. Yeah. And remind me, how did that work out with Brandon? Brandon. Her ex, the guy she'd spent 2 years with before me. By her own account, he was a mess, unreliable, forgot everything that mattered to her, put his friends first every single time, probably cheated at least once. She'd described those 2 years as emotionally exhausting, always wondering where she stood, never quite feeling like a priority. It ended when she caught him with another girl at a party. She was wrecked for months afterward. When she got together with me, she said she was done with guys like that. She wanted someone solid and steady. Guess solid and steady had an expiration date. Brandon worked in sales at some tech startup, one of those places with a ping pong table and beer on draft that mistakes chaos for culture. He was the prototype bro, backward cap, pricey sneakers, always talking about his gym stats or his fantasy football standings. Brittany had shown me photos from when they were together, and in almost every one he was either looking at his phone or talking to someone across the room while she clung to his arm trying to pull his attention back. I'm just worried she's built that whole mess into something it wasn't, Dylan said, draining a three-pointer. Sometimes people forget how bad it actually felt and only remember the adrenaline of all the drama. I didn't want to believe that's where we were headed. But then Brittany started being vague about her weekends, spending more time with her friends, and canceling on me at the last minute. Something came up with the girls. Her texting went from consistent to unpredictable, sometimes instant replies, sometimes hours of silence. The irony wasn't subtle. She wanted me to be less available, so she started making herself less available. Classic. Other things started adding up too. She'd constantly be checking her phone when we were together, tipping the screen away so I couldn't see it. She'd grin at a text and then snap the phone face down the second I glanced over. She started putting in a lot more effort with her appearance for work, full outfits, full makeup, hair done carefully every morning. When I said she looked great, she'd wave it off as just being more professional or trying new things. 3 weeks before everything blew up, we had a full Saturday planned, the farmer's market, lunch at this sandwich spot we both liked, maybe an afternoon movie at the indie theater nearby. The night before, she texted, "Hey, can we reschedule? Amanda's going through something and needs me." Amanda was her best friend from college, so I said of course, I hoped Amanda was doing okay, and to take whatever time she needed. Then Saturday morning I saw Brittany's Instagram story. She wasn't with Amanda. She was at some trendy brunch spot in the Alberta Arts District, the kind of place with a 2-hour wait on weekends, laughing and posing with a group of people I'd never seen, mimosas in hand, flipping her hair for the camera. No crisis. No support mission. Just brunch with people who weren't me and definitely weren't Amanda. I didn't say a word about it. Just stored it away with everything else my gut had been quietly collecting for weeks. The following Thursday, I decided to surprise her. She'd been stressed about a big rebranding project at work, tight deadline, tough client, and she'd mentioned she'd probably be skipping lunch to push through. I figured I'd show up with food. Be the thoughtful boyfriend. The exact thing that apparently made me unattractive, but fine. I left the office around 11:30, drove to the sandwich shop she loved, waited 15 minutes in line, and ordered her usual turkey club with avocado and extra pickles, a bag of her favorite kettle chips, and a lemonade. $20. Seemed worth it. Or so I thought. Her office building has an open lobby with a receptionist desk, but the security guard, older guy named Tom, always working on a crossword, recognized me from enough previous visits to wave me straight through. "Lunch delivery," I said, holding up the bag. "Good man," he said. "She's lucky. If he only knew." I took the elevator to the third floor, walked down the hallway past the glass-walled conference rooms, and pushed through the double doors into the design studio at the end, exposed brick, industrial lighting, the whole creative agency look. Most people were heads down at their workstations. I scanned toward the back corner where Brittany liked to sit, away from the foot traffic. That's when I saw her. She wasn't alone. Some guy was leaning against her workspace, and they were both laughing. Her hand was on his arm. And the look on her face, eyes lit up, head tilted, fingers in her hair, that wasn't coworker small talk. That was something else entirely. I got closer and recognized who it was. Brandon. Her ex. The unavailable one who'd treated her like a footnote and probably cheated on her. They were completely locked into each other, didn't even notice me walking up. I caught pieces of what they were saying. "Remember that weekend at the lake house?" Brandon was grinning. Perfectly whitened teeth. One of those tight V-necks. "Oh my gosh, yes," Brittany said, practically glowing, more alive than I'd seen her in months. "That trip was amazing. We should go back sometime." Her hand still on his arm. His eyes dropping to her lips. The whole thing was there to read if you were paying attention. I stopped about 10 feet away. Part of me wanted to announce myself. But the petty part wanted to see how long it took them to notice me standing there with a sandwich bag like an idiot. Tyler, the hipster coworker Brittany had been comparing me to for weeks, came out of nowhere with a laptop under his arm and a coffee in his hand, heading toward the break room. He clocked me. Then he clocked them. Then he looked back at me. His expression said everything. I held up the sandwich bag and raised an eyebrow like, should I even leave this? He shook his head, firmly, definitively, and mouthed sorry before disappearing into the break room like he wanted no part of what was about to happen. That's when I made my decision. No blow-up. No emotion. Just acknowledge and exit. I walked up, stopped right next to Brittany's desk, and cleared my throat. "Hey." Her head whipped toward me and all the color left her face. Her hand flew off his arm. "Austin, what are you?" "Brought you lunch," I said, holding up the bag. Calm. Almost cheerful. Like I'd walked into any normal Tuesday. Then I looked at Brandon and reached out my hand like we were at a networking event. "You must be Brandon. I've heard a lot about you." Brandon looked confused but shook my hand anyway. Firm grip, definitely the kind of guy who thinks that means something. Yeah. And you are?" "Austin. The boyfriend." I turned back to Brittany, who looked like she wanted to dissolve into the floor. Her face had cycled from white to red, and her mouth was opening and closing with nothing coming out. "Well, technically I'm the too available boyfriend. The boring one. The golden retriever." I set the sandwich bag on her desk right next to her keyboard. She stared at it. "Anyway, you two clearly have some catching up to do. I'll get out of your way." She pushed back from her chair so fast it rolled into the cubicle behind her. "Austin, wait. This isn't." Brandon just stopped by to say hi. I was still smiling, not because it felt natural, but because I knew it would unsettle her more than any anger would. "You want it unavailable? You've got it. Take care." I turned and walked. Didn't look back. Didn't slow down. Didn't give her anything to work with. Just kept my chin up and my shoulders straight all the way to the elevator. Behind me I could hear her voice getting louder, more desperate. "Austin, please. It's not what you think. Come back." The elevator doors closed with her face still in frame. I watched the numbers drop. 3, 2, 1. Lobby. Tom looked up as I passed. That was fast. "She not hungry?" "She's got other plans," I said, and kept walking. The drive home felt strange. No rage, no heartbreak, just this odd, clear-headed calm, like when a math problem you've been stuck on finally resolves. Brittany wasn't looking for a relationship. She was looking for the rush that comes with chasing someone who doesn't really care. And I wasn't going to compete with that. My hands were steady on the wheel. My breathing was even. I felt clear. Not empty, just clear. Like the fog that had been sitting over everything for months had finally lifted, and I could see the whole picture. When I got home, I did the rational thing. I opened my contacts, found her name, and blocked her. Then I worked through every platform, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, everything, and removed her from all of it. Took maybe 10 minutes. Then I went into my camera roll and deleted every photo of us. About 400 pictures. 18 months of documentation. Select all. Delete. Confirm. Gone. The framed photo from our Mount Hood hike, the one where we'd gotten a stranger to take our picture at the summit with the whole view behind us, I pulled it off my desk and dropped it straight into the kitchen trash. Didn't even take it out of the frame. Then I found a cardboard box in the storage closet and packed up everything she'd left at my place: her purple toothbrush, her face wash, her overnight bag, 3 pairs of shoes, a hoodie from Portland Festival 2023, 2 photography books, her phone charger, a half-empty bottle of expensive shampoo. Wrote Brittany on the side in Sharpie. Set it by the front door. Then I texted Dylan, "You were right. It's done." He called immediately. What happened? I walked him through the whole thing: the surprise lunch, showing up at the office, catching her with Brandon, reading the body language, the calm exit. Dude. Ice cold. I mean that as a compliment. Thanks. Weirdly, I feel fine. Because part of you already knew. Your gut's been picking up on this for weeks, even when your brain didn't want to hear it. He was right. Something in me had been clocking the warning signs for a while. The Brandon thing just made everything explicit. She's going to come at you through everyone she knows, Dylan predicted. Once the shock settles and she realizes you're actually done, she'll panic. Already blocked her. Smart. Hold the line. I've watched too many guys fold when the crying starts. Don't be that guy. I won't. Good. You want company? I'll bring pizza. We can pretend women don't exist for a few hours. Nah, I'm good. Just need to decompress. That night, pizza, video games, bed at a reasonable hour. Slept like a rock. No tossing, no replaying the scene in my head, no second guessing. Just deep, clean sleep. The next morning, I woke up to an absolute flood. I'd blocked Brittany, but I hadn't blocked her entire network. Apparently she'd spent the whole previous evening trying to reach me, panicking when she couldn't, and then activated every person in her life to do it for her. 17 missed calls. About 30 texts. From Amanda, Austin, she's spiraling. Please reach out. She swears nothing happened. She cried all night. From Jess, her roommate, she messed up, but she loves you. Give her a chance to explain. She's a wreck. From Tyler, the coworker, dude, she's been crying at work all morning. Maybe just hear her out. She says it's a misunderstanding. From numbers I didn't recognize, cousins, friends, coworkers. All saying some version of the same thing. Call her. She's sorry. She needs to explain. I ignored every single one. Went to the gym, went to work, kept my life moving. Threw my phone on Do Not Disturb and poured myself into what I could actually control. At the gym I ran 5 miles on the treadmill, harder than usual, pushing until my lungs were burning and my legs were done. That pain felt real, measurable, honest. At work I buried myself in a conveyor system redesign that had been giving us problems: CAD drawings, stress calculations, material specs. My team noticed I was quieter than usual but nobody pushed. They probably figured I was just deep in a problem. They weren't wrong. Then the emails started. Her personal account, her work account, even a LinkedIn message. Austin, please. I need you to understand. Brandon just showed up without warning. We were just talking. Nothing happened. You're reading this wrong. Please reach out. We can figure this out. I miss you. Overreacting. That word actually made me laugh out loud. I had walked in on her flirting with her ex after weeks of her telling me I was too boring and too available, and walking away quietly was overreacting. The LinkedIn message especially, she opened with "I hope you're doing well professionally," like we were 2 people who'd exchanged business cards at a conference, not 2 people who'd been together for 18 months. I didn't respond to any of it. Just archived everything and got on with my day. Dylan came over that weekend: pizza, craft sodas, a full debrief. Walk me through the fallout. What does it look like? She's been running every back channel she can find trying to reach me. I'm not engaging with any of it. Perfect. Let her sit in it. He opened the pizza box, half pepperoni, half veggie. What's the extended network situation? Her friends all think I'm overreacting and should at least hear her out. Of course they do. They want the drama resolved so they can stop being dragged into it. Don't give them what they want. Then he told me something I hadn't known. Apparently through Jake, a mutual friend who knew Brandon from college, word had gotten around that Brandon was telling people he and Brittany were on their way back together. He'd been at a party the weekend before, bragging that he still had it with his ex, going on about how she'd finally come around to realizing what she'd been missing. She'll probably run straight to him, Dylan said, mid-slice. He'll go right back to his old patterns. She'll figure out what she had with you, and then she'll come looking to come back. And the answer will be no. Exactly. You're not her soft landing. You're not the stable option she gets to fall back on when the exciting option blows up in her face. We spent the rest of the night playing games and talking about everything except Brittany. Dylan caught me up on a client giving him headaches over retirement accounts. I told him about the conveyor project and how the robotics kids were coming along. Regular life stuff. It felt genuinely good. Monday morning brought a plot twist I hadn't seen coming. I was at my desk when an email landed from an address I didn't recognize. Subject line, "You deserve to know the truth." I almost sent it to spam, but curiosity won. The sender was someone named Jennifer. Meant nothing to me. She said she was Brandon's girlfriend. Wait, Brandon had a girlfriend? Apparently, yes. Jennifer had her own apartment in Beaverton and had been with Brandon for about 8 months. She'd found out about Brittany when a mutual connection saw them together at the brunch place and tagged Brandon in a photo. Jennifer spotted it, started connecting dots, and confronted him over the weekend. He admitted he'd been reconnecting with his ex but claimed nothing physical had happened. Yet. That word, yet, doing a lot of heavy lifting. Jennifer didn't believe him. She wanted me to know what we'd both been dealing with. She'd attached screenshots of text exchanges between Brandon and Brittany going back 3 weeks. Flirty, nostalgic, exactly what you'd expect from two people relighting something old. Brandon, been thinking about you a lot. I miss what we had. Brittany, I miss it too. Things with Austin are just so dull. He's like a puppy, always there, always eager. There's no thrill in it. Brandon, I remember you liked a little thrill. We should get drinks and actually catch up. Brittany, I'd love that. When are you free? Brandon, Tuesday night. That place on Hawthorne we used to go. Brittany, perfect. I can't wait. The timeline clicked. The fake rain check Saturday where Amanda was supposedly in crisis, that was drinks with Brandon. The texts that took hours to get replies to, she was busy with him. The extra attention to how she looked every morning, she was putting that effort in for someone else. 3 weeks of planning and flirting behind my back, all while telling me I needed to be more distant. I forwarded Jennifer's email to my personal account to keep a copy, then replied, "Thanks for telling me. I ended things with Brittany last week after catching them together at her office. Good luck with your situation." She wrote back within minutes, "I ended things with Brandon this morning. Showed him the texts and told him we were done. Sounds like we both dodged something. I hope you find someone who actually deserves you. Same to you. You deserve someone who's all in." And that was it. 2 relationships incinerated because Brandon and Brittany wanted to recapture whatever they thought they'd had, the rush of sneaking around, the forbidden romance high, the validation of being wanted by someone who'd already hurt them once. The irony was so thick it was almost beautiful. Brittany had spent weeks telling me I was too available, too bland, too predictable. She wanted exciting and unavailable. Well, Brandon was definitely unavailable. Turns out he had a whole other girlfriend, and definitely exciting, in the sense that his life was a mess and he was actively lying to multiple people. She had gotten exactly what she said she wanted. Tuesday, Dylan sent me a screenshot. Brittany had posted on Instagram, "One of those people don't know what they have until it's gone," quotes overlaid on a black and white photo of rain on a window. The classic sad girl aesthetic post. The kind that collects sympathy comments from people who only have half the story. "She's fishing for your attention," Dylan said when I called him at lunch. "Don't bite." "I'm not. It's just kind of funny to watch from way over here. She'll show up at your place eventually. Once every other channel is exhausted, she'll go in person. I'll handle it if she does." She did. Thursday night. I was home making a simple dinner, chicken and rice, nothing dramatic, when someone knocked on the door. I checked the peephole first, like I always do. Brittany. She looked rough, hair pulled back in a messy bun, eyes red and swollen, sweatpants, an oversized hoodie. Not even close to her usual put-together presentation. No makeup, no carefully assembled outfit. Just someone who had stopped trying to look okay. I thought about not answering. But I also wanted this to actually be over, and that meant one final conversation so she'd understand there was no way back from this. I opened the door but didn't move out of the way to let her in. "Austin, thank God. I've been trying to reach you for days." "I know. I blocked you." Her face crumpled, tears already coming. "Can we please just talk? 5 minutes. That's all. There's nothing to talk about." "Yes, there is. You misread what you saw. Brandon just stopped by. That's all it was. I promise." I took out my phone, opened the screenshots Jennifer had sent, and held it up in front of her face. I watched her expression shift as she recognized her own words, calling me dull, calling me a puppy, making plans to meet her ex for drinks. All of it, right there. Where did that? Brandon's girlfriend sent it to me. His ex-girlfriend now. Turns out he was playing both of you at the same time. Brittany's face went through about 4 different emotions in 3 seconds: shock, embarrassment, anger, then desperation. Okay. Fine. I was talking to him. But we never did anything. It was just texts. Just reconnecting. Emotional cheating is still cheating. I wasn't cheating. I was confused. Austin, you're perfect on paper, but something was missing, some spark, some intensity. With Brandon there was always this energy, this electricity. That electricity was anxiety. It was the feeling of constantly not knowing where you stood with someone who was withholding attention on purpose. That's not passion, that's dysfunction dressed up to look like chemistry. She flinched like I'd hit her. You don't understand what that felt like. What I understand is that you spent weeks telling me I was too boring and too available while secretly texting your ex. You wanted me to chase you, play games, act like I didn't care. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to hollow myself out trying to compete with some fantasy you've built around a relationship that already hurt you once. So that's your answer? You're just walking away? Just like that? After everything? Her voice was climbing. I'm not walking away. I'm choosing not to play a game that was rigged from the start. You want it unavailable? Congratulations, as far as you're concerned, I'm permanently unavailable. Austin, please. She reached out to grab my arm, but I stepped back. Your stuff is in the box by the door. Take it with you. She noticed the box for the first time, then looked back at me. Her expression shifted, the tears dried up and something harder moved in. You're going to regret this. When you're sitting alone wondering what you threw away, you'll think about this moment. I don't think that's going to happen. But good luck with Brandon, 3rd time's the charm, right? He and I aren't. Doesn't matter. Not my problem anymore. I closed the door and locked it. Through the wood, I could hear her crying in the hallway. There was a part of me that felt the pull to open it again, the part that had genuinely loved her, that had cooked for her and showed up for her and thought we were building something. But the smarter part knew that opening that door would just restart the whole cycle. She'd apologize, I'd forgive her, and 6 months later we'd be standing in exactly the same spot. A few minutes passed and I heard her footsteps move away down the hallway. The elevator dinged. The doors opened and closed. Silence. My phone buzzed. Dylan, how did it go? She came by. I turned her away with her stuff. Clean break. For real? She tried crying, tried minimizing the texts, tried to make me feel like the bad guy. I shut all of it down. Genuinely proud of you. That's not easy. An hour later he texted again. Amanda just called. Said Brittany showed up at her place completely destroyed. You actually held the line. Yep. How do you feel? Relieved, honestly. Like I'd been holding my breath for weeks and I can finally just breathe again. That tracks. She put you in an impossible position. She wanted you to become a different person. You can't win that game, you can only lose slowly. He was right. The relationship was over the second Brittany decided that being a good partner was a liability rather than an asset. No amount of game playing or reinvention would have bridged that gap. She wanted chaos, I wanted something real. Those two things don't coexist. The weeks after that were genuinely peaceful. I unfollowed all the mutual friends on social media to keep the noise out of my feed. I leaned into work, pushed harder at the gym, picked back up the parts of my life I'd let slide. Bought a mountain bike and started hitting the trails around Portland, Forest Park, Powell Butte, the Springwater Corridor. Reconnected with college friends I'd let drift while I was wrapped up in the relationship. My life got quieter, but it got better. More time, more energy, more room to actually breathe. I cooked things I'd been meaning to try. I read the books that had been stacking up on my nightstand. I finally got back to the bathroom renovation I'd been putting off for months, refinished the vanity, laid new tile, upgraded the fixtures. There's something genuinely therapeutic about taking something worn down and making it good again through your own effort. Through the grapevine, I got updates on the Brittany and Brandon situation. After Jennifer ended things with him, Brandon apparently made a real run at getting back with Brittany officially. They lasted about 3 weeks before the whole thing collapsed. According to Amanda, who told Dylan, who told me, Brandon slipped straight back into his old playbook. He'd commit to dinner and show up an hour late without a word. He'd ghost her for days and then resurface with some flimsy excuse. He'd lock in weekend plans and bail when the guys wanted to do something instead. The intensity Brittany had romanticized, the pull she'd described as passion, turned out to be exactly what it always was, her constantly reaching for someone who kept moving just out of reach. The final straw came when she noticed some girl from Brandon's past, a girl named Michelle, leaving flirty comments and inside jokes all over his Instagram. When Brittany brought it up, he told her she was being clingy and insecure, that Michelle was just a friend, and that she needed to relax. He used almost the exact same language on her that she'd used on me. She tried to make things official, told him she had real feelings. He laughed it off, said he wasn't looking for anything serious, told her she might want to work on herself before trying to tie someone down. She'd walked away from a relationship where she was genuinely valued to chase one where she was disposable. And now she was feeling what she'd made me feel, like too much, like not enough, like a problem to be managed. 2 months after everything went down, I was sitting in a coffee shop near my place on a Saturday morning, reading, minding my own business, when someone dropped into the seat across from me. Brittany. She looked different, less curated, more tired. The kind of tired that lives behind your eyes and comes from emotional weight, not a bad night's sleep. Simple ponytail, no makeup, jeans, a plain sweater. Nothing aesthetic about any of it. Just a person. "Please don't leave," she said before I could even move. Quiet voice. Almost small. "I just need to say one thing and then I'll go. I promise." I closed my book but didn't say anything. I just waited. "You were right," she said. Her hands were wrapped around her coffee cup like she needed something to anchor her. "About everything. Brandon was exactly as bad as he was before, worse, maybe, because I went back in knowing exactly what I was getting into. I saw it clearly and chose it anyway." She paused. "I had someone who genuinely cared about me, Austin. Someone steady, someone who actually showed up. And I threw all of that away chasing something I'd built up in my head into something it never really was. I mixed up anxiety for excitement and instability for passion. I know that now. And I'm so sorry. I'm really, genuinely sorry." She stopped talking. Just sat there looking hollowed out, waiting to see if I'd give her something that made this easier. "I appreciate that you said it," I said. "But it doesn't change where we are. I know. I just needed you to know that I actually see it now. What we had was real. It was good. And I was too caught up in chasing something imaginary to recognize it. For what it's worth, I hope you figure out what you actually want, and stop running after what you just think you want." She nodded, eyes glassy. "Could we maybe be friends someday? Not right now. But eventually? I don't think so. But I genuinely wish you well. I hope you find whatever it is you're really looking for." She stood up, wiped her eyes on her sleeve, and thanked me for hearing her out, and for being kind when she didn't deserve it. After she left, I sat there for a while and just thought. The relationship had been headed nowhere from the moment Brittany decided that reliability wasn't something to value. Nothing I could have changed about myself would have fixed that, because the problem was never me. Some people are genuinely wired for chaos. They need the emotional volatility, the constant uncertainty, the push and pull. A calm, stable relationship doesn't feel like love to them, it feels like nothing's happening. So they manufacture something happening. They leave something good to chase something electric, and they don't figure out until later that what felt like electricity was just the signal from a live wire that was always going to burn them. Brittany was that kind of person. And no matter how sincerely she sat across from me in that coffee shop and said she'd learned her lesson, I'd bet anything she'd find herself in the same situation again before long. Another Brandon. Another relationship built on anxiety and unpredictability. Another guy who made her feel like she had to earn every moment of his attention. That wasn't going to be my problem.